All right, good morning, traders. It is April 23rd, 2026. My name, Coach Carignan, lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there, podcast land, digital land, cyberland. Thank you for subscribing and following and liking my content. Appreciate that. Love that. Thank you for the kind words. Special shout out Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Rick Sadler, Ed Carter, everybody that shares the BYOB content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web. All right, let's take a look at the market. Let's take a look at the summary for yesterday. SPY pivot this morning is going to be same thing, 706.75, above it, bullish, below it, bearish. IWM QQQ, again, made new all-time highs. SPY and FNGU, higher highs, higher lows, closing over bullish traps, and over there 17 EMAs, still bullish. Diamond down, inside day, it's a lower high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17. SPY closed, 2-hour uptrend, 10-minute uptrend. Gold made an inside day, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. Silver made an inside day, closing under a bullish trap but over the 17. USO, higher high, higher low, closing over a bullish cross over the flat 17. UNG, higher high, higher low, closing over a bullish cross, but under the 17. US dollar index, still in a downtrend, closed near the 98.61 area. SPY max pain for today, 709. Put to call ratio of about 1.5 puts for each call. That expires today at 4:15. If this is your first time seeing this, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These are all in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. They got a star. They're building out a bull flag or a launch pad from which to launch higher. If they got a little dash, means they already did the breakout and they're moving up. So if they're building a star, got a launch pad or a bull flag. On this side, they're building out a bear flag or a platform from which to dive lower. If they got a dash, it means they already had the breakdown. So bullish, bearish, over the 17 EMA, under the 17 EMA. Let's take a look at the market. Let's take a look at the 10-minute chart. Let's pick up a clean chart here. You can see we got the sticks and the 3 is riding up over the 8 EMA. You got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. So 10-minute uptrend coming into the close yesterday. Nice consolidation right there. Let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. 2-hour chart building out consolidation here. Sticks and the 3 riding up on top of the 8 EMA. We've got daylight between the 3 and the 8. 2-hour uptrend coming into the close yesterday. Daily candle, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap, closing over the rising 17. Put the quad lines on there. You can see we're at the top, quadrant 4. Top of quadrant 4. I'm going to pan way out here. This is the origin of our rally back here in April. All right. There's a high. There's a high. We made higher highs. So we're in an uptrend. So bullish and in an uptrend on the SPY. Weekly, same thing. Bullish uptrend. Monthly, bullish uptrend. Okay. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ on the daily chart, and we'll start off with the 10-minute. Same thing on QQQ. Sticks in the 3 riding up on top of the 8 EMA. All right, over VWAP. 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. 2-hour. 2-hour, we got the sticks in the 3 riding up over the rising 8. All right. 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. You got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. Okay, daily chart. QQQ, new all-time high. Okay, it's hard not to be bullish and in an uptrend when you're making new all-time highs. Again, here's the origin of our rally. April, up, over, produces a low right here, and then rips, makes a new high. That's QQQ. Let's take a look at weekly chart. It's going to be bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Start on the daily chart. Diamond Dow's an inside day, okay? So it didn't make a higher high and it didn't make a lower low. So it made a lower high and a higher low, but we closed over a bullish trap. We closed over the rising 17. We closed over the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. We are in the top of quadrant 4. Okay, so that's bullish. All right, and you can see there's a high right here. Well, we made a higher high, so that's bullish and in an uptrend. That's Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at IWM. Okay, so IWM yesterday, I must have got that wrong. Okay, IWM not a new all-time high. IWM is an inside day. Make sure I got the right one. Yeah, it's a higher low, a lower high, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17 EMA. You can see clearly top of quadrant 4. All right, you got a high. They made a higher high, so bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at FNGU. So FNGU, higher low, higher high, closing above a bullish trap. You see the daylight between the 3 and the 8. Sticks riding up over the sticks and the 3 riding up on top of the 8. Bullish trap. So higher high, higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17. Okay, knocking on the door of the upper third up here. Okay, so almost there. So that's bullish. Excuse me, that's neutral, but knocking on the door. And in an uptrend, there's a high. They're making higher highs. So neutral and in an uptrend, knocking on the door to the bullish section up here. Okay, let's take a look at USO. USO, higher low, higher high, closing quadrant 4. That's going to be bullish. You got a high right here. They made a higher high and in an uptrend. So closing over that bullish cross. See the 3 crosses over the 8. Closing over a bullish cross over the flat 17 near the bottom of quadrant 4. That's going to be bullish. All right. And in an uptrend because there's a high and we made higher highs. Let's take a look at UNG. Let's pan way out back here. All right, UNG, this is a 12-month high. This is a 12-month high anchored VWAP. UNG trying to stage a comeback. Got a higher low and a higher high. We closed over the bullish cross, but under the falling 17. We are under the 12-month high anchored VWAP. This is the all-time low. Reminder, this is the 12-month high. We are in the bottom of quadrant 1. This is bearish. This is the all-time low. This is bearish and still in a downtrend, but trying to stage a comeback here. So little dysfunctional downtrend at this time in that they made lower lows. And it looks like they're staging either a bear flag or an attempt to break the downtrend. So we're back down here. This is bearish and in a downtrend right now. Okay, let's take a look at gold and silver. Gold on the daily chart. Let's look at this. Okay, back here is our origin of our rally 2022. Price action up here in the middle of bottom of quadrant 4. That's going to be bullish. Okay, the candle for yesterday is an inside day. That's a lower high, a higher low. We closed under a bearish trap, under a flat 17, under, this is the all-time high anchored VWAP. We have not made lower lows. Okay, so we're bullish, still in an uptrend on GLD. Let's take a look at silver. Silver, another inside day as well. Higher low, lower high, closing over flat 17, closing under this bullish trap, closing under all-time high anchored VWAP. I'm going to pan way out. Origin of this all-time high starts back here in 2022. All right, and we come all the way up here. We're not in the upper third. We're not in the lower third, so we're neutral. We're on the bullish side of the 50-yard line. So we're neutral, and we're making highs and higher highs. We haven't made any lower lows. So we're neutral and in an uptrend right now on silver. All right, let's take a look at technicals, T2101. Okay, so yesterday, market kind of ratcheted higher. All right, for SPY it did. And participation dipped a little bit right here. Still not bad, all right? I like to see it when the market increases with participation. This is the absolute breadth, along with market moving up a little bit. So not my favorite indicator right there. Not quite the bullish sign that I'm looking for. But all in all, it's still, market's still bullish. Okay, let's take a look at T2122. And of course, this echoes this sentiment, 21-22. We fall out of the buy zone, so here we have to pick up camp, and we start a new camp inside the buyer's chop zone. Okay, so we were up in the overbought zone. We spent yesterday, day before in the buy zone. Yesterday we spent in the buyer's chop zone. Okay, hopefully we set a higher low here and start to rally back up into the buy zone and in the overbought zone. We'll see. We're still on the bullish side of the 50-yard line. Let's look at April. Okay, so here's the beginning of April. I'm going to start this off, and I'm going to crank it up. Okay, so there's the beginning of April. Now, if we look at this yellow line, you can see it spends all of April above the 50-yard line. Okay, all of it. Not all of it, most of it, okay? We made a higher low here, and then we made a higher low here, and we've spent all of this. So April has been superbly bullish for the indexes and stocks in general. You can see the price action right here on T2122 spending the majority of the time up here in the bulls section. All in all, spending quite a bit of time in the overbought zone. If we look at this, there's probably one day there, another day there. All right, got 4 or 5 days right there. So out of probably the 10 trading days or 15 trading days so far, you can see we've got close to half of them are in the overbought zone. So beautiful work on the stock market for April. Don't know who to give the credit to other than this is just fantastic, all right now. This is T2122. Again, I like it when it's in the overbought zone. Hopefully we got a higher low here, and we're back up here in the overbought zone later today. All right, so that's T2122. We're still bullish right here, but we are losing a little bit of our momentum. Let's take a look at T2123. Okay, 2 days ago we did a bullish gap up, still not filled by the bears. That is definitely a bullish sign. The idea that we're moving up and planking up here, this is like planking for 2 days straight, all right, or planking for two 6.5-hour sessions. Okay, that's incredibly bullish right there. Anytime you can plank for an hour, all right, Pat yourself on the back. That is difficult to do. You can see right there, price holding the higher ground for 2 days straight up here, okay? That's bullish. We're still bullish, okay? And T21.23 supports it. T21.22 still supports it here. T21.01 still supports it. We're still holding those highs up there. Everything is still bullish. Okay, T21.23, we're up over the rising 200 SMA. That's bullish. And if I put the quad lines in there, you'll see that's bullish and in an uptrend. So we made a new all-time high. So we're bullish and in an uptrend. Yesterday, did we make lower lows? So we're bullish and in a downtrend on the 15. Only because technically they got a low here and they made a lower low, and we haven't made higher highs. Okay, so bullish and then a downtrend. But let's face it. All right, this downtrend ain't going anywhere. All right, it's not really coming down. It's moving to the right. All right, ever since making the downtrend. All right, they're not moving down. They're moving up. They're moving to the right or melting up. So it's bullish and in a dysfunctional downtrend. That's T21.23 15-minute chart. Remember, this is all-time high right here. Having a little pullback does not hurt. Again, we still have not filled the gap. Here's a bullish gap. The bear's still struggling to fill gaps, even way up here. Another gap that hasn't been filled. Another gap that hasn't been filled. Another gap that hasn't been filled. Okay, so if you want to know who's in charge, look at all these bullish gaps that haven't been filled by the bears. All right, so clearly bulls are in charge. Dysfunctional 15-minute downtrend, T21.23. All right, 3-bar chart. Going to take this out of the way. Okay, so obviously we got a new all-time high, so we're making higher highs. We're up over the rising 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bull. So this is bullish, top of quadrant 4, obviously, right? And in an uptrend because they're making higher highs. Till we start making lower lows, we're going to remain in this uptrend. So 3-bar chart, now bullish and in an uptrend. FNGU, here's Stinker on the 15-minute chart. Another beautiful work, beautiful job by FNGU. Bullish gap up yesterday. And look at them just rip all day. Okay, so bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. If you're not filling the gap by noon, all right, chances are the rest of the day is going to be bullish, or at least hold the strength that's going on inside that. So there's FNGU on the 15-minute chart. We're up over the rising 200 SMA. All right, that's where you want to be if you're a bull. We can see highs here. We can see highs here. You can see that we made higher highs. So that's bullish and in an uptrend. I'll slap the quad lines on there and encompass most of that price action, well, as much as I can. You can see clearly top of quadrant 4. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, now remember the daily chart is neutral and in an uptrend, but knocking on the door of that upper third. All right, let's take a look at the US dollar index. Okay, this is the 2025 high. We come into a series of lower highs and lower lows. So we have a 6-month downtrend that produces a 1-year flag or 11-month flag, bear flag right here. We break. See the major support, multi-year major support here. See all the valleys that come down here. This is all consolidation, all right? And we break the major support, and then we try 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to break back up. And this was once, which was once support, is now resistance. And you can see as it holds this bear flag down, providing the top of that bear flag what price is in right now. So we have a fabric of this bear flag is actually longer than the flagpole. It's kind of dragging on the ground. So there's the US dollar index again. You can see there's a low. We're making lower lows. So we're in a daily downtrend right now. All right, let's take a look at some technicals. We will do the game plans. Let's start with not technicals, the economic package. Okay, so for the 23rd, max pain 709, unless they change it on me, and a put to call ratio of about 1.5 puts for the options that expire today in SPY. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15. Security options expire at 4. Let's refresh this. See what we get. Still 709, still 1.5. Okay, I'll take that. Let's take a look at economic calendar. Really light week this week. All right, nothing to be an obstacle for the bulls that want to stampede and do the rally. You can see right here, you got jobless claims going to come out at 8:30 today, coming out in 8 minutes. All right, we've got Chicago Fed National Activity Index also at 8:30. PMI Composite Flash 945, and a natural gas report or inventories right here Thursday at 10:30. That's a Thursday staple at 10:30 is the gas report. Same thing with Wednesday. That is a Wednesday staple is the petroleum report at 10:30. Okay, and the rig count at 1 o'clock on a Friday. That's pretty much an economic staple. You can depend on that unless, of course, there's a holiday. All right, so relatively light week for economic data. All right, so we got consumer sentiment coming out tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Okay, so nothing really to report there unless the jobless claims are upside down. I don't see it. Okay, I don't see it down here in the South. Okay, it's still looking good. All right, for us down here in the South. What's going on in the rest of the country, I can't report on that, but I'm just telling you they're still building houses on every street that doesn't have, that's not full, all right, down here in Cape Coral. So we're alive and kicking down here. So I don't know what's going on in your town, but things are looking good here. I don't see any reason for the economy to be dipping. But then again, I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world, the rest of the USA. All right, let's take a look at the earnings calendar. You can see there's not much on the economic calendar to disrupt this bull rally. All right, so we're going to have Intel earnings tonight. That's $332 billion. That's a third of a trillion, almost a third of a trillion there. That's going to report. All eyes going to be on Intel. That's tech. All right, so going to be a lot of eyes on Intel. Okay, this is what makes technology work, what makes the software work. All right, so this is the tip of the spear. This is the part of AI that makes the AI work. All right, so we'll see what happens tonight with Intel. Hopefully, they're in some pretty good shape. Report some earnings. All right, I don't know if they're going to surprise anybody. We'll see. All right. American Express, $226 billion, $250 billion. They're going to report this morning. SAP, I think that's mostly software and business support. 216 billion. They're going to report tonight along with Intel. Not quite tip of the spear. Intel, anybody that makes that hardware that makes that AI work. All right, they're going to be the tip of the spear right there. Thermo Fisher, $194 billion. They're going to report tonight. NextEra Energy, Union Pacific. All right, all eyes going to be on Intel. Not to say that these, but whatever this does is going to provide the undertones and probably the overtones to the market momentum and movement for the weekend. All right, we'll see. Friday, we've got Procter & Gamble, another $350 billion coming out on Friday morning. Southern Copper, $151 billion sometime on Friday. Projected, we'll see. Healthcare, okay. A lot of these, none of these are going to be market movers, okay? They're not going to, it's all going to be about the technology and the tip of the spear, the hardware, and what goes into making AI do the magic that it does, okay? So we will be watching this, all right? But as far as changing market direction, I don't feel like either of these are going to change market direction now that, excuse me, AI is, has become the focus of this year's and probably last year's momentum. All right, so there's earnings right there. Tesla reported last night. Not sure what they did. Lam Research as well. Then we had IBM and Texas Instruments. Two more people that make the hardware that make that support the AI. So again, if they did well, that will help support the infrastructure that goes along with making the AI work. All right, let's take a look at the markets and see what we got coming on before the jobless claims come out. And let's go to a clean chart. And let's look at the game plans. All right, start off with SPY. Okay, you can see right here, this is yesterday's high, which was 711.45, so over 711.50. All right, I kind of want that would be a green erases red entry right up there. Pivot is kind of the same as it was yesterday, 706.75. They really didn't, enter some new world up here. They're just still kind of working this area, so it's still 706.75 above it, bullish below it, bearish. Red erases green again. It's going to be underneath that low from not yesterday but the day before. See underneath that pivot low, so below 702.60. That's going to be my red erases green underneath that. For options, I like the Friday options on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. I like strikes at the money, all right, or in the money. It's going to give you much better performance. If you have a small account, like I do sometimes, I like the out of the money. But if I have the money to get the in the money or at the money options, all right, that's the best place to be. Now, you don't know if you're going to have a high momentum day. So if you got a PPO, I don't know how many of you got the PPO. You got a PPO that's running hot, all right, on a 10-minute chart. And let's say it's over 0.09, okay? That's the time to buy the out of the money options, okay? Other than that, you just want the move that you're looking at, all right, and you're not so sure how far it's going to go with the momentum. If it's over 0.06, all right, then you would want the at the money or the in the money options so you can capture as much of that penny for penny performance as you can. Again, if you're running hot, okay, like over 0.09, all right, that would be the time to get the out of the money. All right, a little bit cheaper, and you're going to get that, you're going to find that the strike price comes into play closer to at the money as price rises up through each dollar strike as we rise up through it. So you want that momentum. For that reason, I would choose 0.09 or higher, 0.08, 0.09, all right, when you get that momentum going on. All right. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. All right, my favorite trade is the 10-minute uptrend that resides inside the daily uptrend, that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, that resides inside the daily uptrend, that resides inside weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. That way I got all the bigger time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend to make it go higher and go further. I like it when it's all over that all-time high anchored VWAP. That's my favorite trade. Okay, so that's the PPO right there. You can see yesterday PPO on SPY 10-minute chart. You can see it got up. See how it has a 9 or a 10? All right, so it rises fast. All right, so it goes from 0.08 right on up to almost 7, 10, 50. All right, in a matter of, three or four 10-minute candles right there. So for the guidance yesterday, what we have, we observed in the pre-market bullish price action over yesterday's closing price action and post-market price action. That's a bullish environment. So I plan to trade, this was yesterday, continuation of the pre-market uptrend. All right, I wanted a 10-minute downtrend if we broke below 706, which was pretty much, you can see our pivot yesterday because it's the same one today. Okay, so here we are in the pre-market. You can see price continues that 10-minute uptrend right on up to the resistance area, which I identified to people here in the room. 7, 10, 30 would be, that area would be resistance, all right? And you can see that was a profit-taking place to take some profit right there at right in that 7, 10, 30 area. I was hoping we get up on top of it and consolidate and hold for 6, 10-minute candles, but you can see they started to melt off, and you can see now you got candles underneath 7, 10, 30. Not quite the same as being on top of it. They were up there for 3 10-minute candles, and then they lost it, and then here there is at the end of the day, they stage a little rally to come back into it. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute chart. Again, bullish uptrend right there coming into the close. So let's look at the pre-market. So on the pre-market, this is what we have. We left off yesterday with a 10-minute uptrend, a 2-hour uptrend, a daily uptrend, okay? We have a current 10-minute uptrend. Things change before we open up, all right? So this is my plan right now. Okay, so I got a 10-minute uptrend. I'd be interested in trading a continuation of this 10-minute uptrend, okay? Right on up to yesterday's highs, maybe even all-time high. And then if we get on top of that, I'm looking at 715. So I'm interested in trading a continuation of this 10-minute uptrend, okay? So I'd like to see us get on top of the all-time high or on top of all of this right here at 711.50. Hold the higher ground. We may have to consolidate for 3 hours before finally ripping up there to make some new all-time highs. That's what I'm looking for to happen today. All right, so I'm going to be trading the 10-minute uptrend coming out of the open. Unless, of course, we got a downtrend. And then, again, I'm only interested to see the pre-market low. So you can see it's right here at the pivot, 706.75. It's the same pivot we had yesterday, which happens to be our same pivot today. So you can see if we get underneath that pre-market low, probably we want to be in a downtrend. I'd be interested in trading the downtrend down to this low and maybe even lower. Okay, so underneath 706.75, 10-minute downtrend, I'd be interested in that. As of now, this morning, I'm interested in trading the 10-minute, a continuation of the current 10-minute uptrend that we have. You can see the sticks on top of the 3 over the rising 8. This is a 10-minute uptrend. Notice it's over VWAP as well. So that's what I'm interested in trading this morning. All right, that's it this morning. You got the game plan. All right, you've got my instructions that I like. I want to trade that continuation of that 10-minute uptrend. So kind of the same thing as yesterday, only underneath the pivot, 706. Pretty much the same thing I said yesterday. looking to break up here and make some new highs. All right, so there we go. Thanks, traders. I will see you all in 45 minutes, and we'll open up the markets and trade them live together.